That sounds good. I like pictures.
Yeah.
Fun. And this is so easy to do it live.
This, what they do, what do you mean art and stuff? Sometimes we want to cut stuff out. Sometimes other things cut stuff out. You should be able to do that. Something's wrong or something.
Like what?
That's because sometimes people, I have to do that. I don't want to cut it out.
Scared me.
What's up, everybody? It is me, your boy Rico No Suave, and welcome back to another great show. Oh man, I am super happy to be back with each and every one of you guys. And you know, we have a fun-filled packed show for everyone. And you know what? I want to just say I love you. Hopefully you love me as well too. And I guess we getting right into it. You know, one of the things is that, hey, before we get into that, I just want to say thank you, right? I want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for actually just showing the love for the Rico No Suave show. Guys, we got a lot of great guests that's actually coming up in the future, of course, just as of today as well, too. And also big shout out to everybody that's actually in LA, New York, Las Vegas, all of you guys that's showing the love, and people that's across country as well too. Thank you guys so much for showing nothing but love. And also to my people here in Chicago, también, thank you guys. Gracias a todos mi gente. You guys are super, super awesome. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit. You probably already said a little sneak peek of what is actually going on in America, and also how we're actually addressing our conversations with other presidents. So let's bring up that first one. All right, everybody. So you know that there was a meeting that we had the Ukrainian President Zelensky that actually came and met with Mr. Donald Trump as well as J.D. Vance. One thing that I have to say about before we go to this next slide, because one of the things that, you know, that when we're bringing other people as far as other, how can I say, presidents to America is how we address them, and also how we're actually just talking to them and basically addressing certain situations. The thing that really bothered me about this one, a lot of people were sending this to me. And when they were sending it to me, there was a battle of who's the biggest bully. And who's the biggest bully is basically Mr. Donald Trump and his gang. When they start talking about suits, it's talking about start talking about well, you have a cheap suit, and whoever has a cheap suit, I wouldn't wear that suit, and it was just about no, you're here, you can't talk to us like that, and wait a minute, and it was like a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth situation where it was really, really, really disrespectful. So here's my 2 cents in regards to that, and this is what I feel. Leaders, leaders across the nation. There's just not just the president, but there's also the people that's behind them. You know, you have Elon Musk and you have JD Vance, and you have a lot of other people that's part of the government itself. And one of the things that when we're actually talking to other leaders is how do we work together well? Well, first of all, in this situation, we pray for Ukraine. Number one, hands down. I pray for Ukraine because of I have Ukrainian friends, right? And I have friends from different backgrounds. But one of the biggest things about what's happening between Russia and also Ukraine is where does America stand in between those two? Who do we support? Now, we actually were supporting, of course, our previous president. We were supporting him very, very tightly as well, too. A lot of us actually had a lot of love for Ukraine as well, and what they were actually going through, because we brought this gentleman over to the U.S. to be able to talk and see if we're actually backing him up still. It turned the wrong way. So for me, as a humanitarian who I love people, is that we feel that this conversation did not go well, and it was kind of like, well, you're here, we're the boss. You're not the boss. You got to remember, he's a president of his own country as well, too, and we're wanting to actually bring nothing but goodness as far as to help him and his people. I have to say Trump was really out of line. I have to say J.D. Vance, you were out of line. I have to say the government and people that was actually behind Trump was kind of out of line in regards to how they were addressing certain situations. Now, I'm not talking about what came out of that meeting, but what was happening, how it was handled was very immature. And that's just for me as part of the media to be able to address this. And hopefully you guys understand that when there's a conversation, when there's communication that's actually happening, it's very important for us to be able to listen and also to understand. And how do we come up with an agreement? If we don't come up with an agreement, that's good. But if we come about with talking about each other, that just produces a war between us and other people and countries as well, too. So I wanted to just say this, that, you know, us as Americans or us as human beings, we have to be able to at least talk in a way of good communication with each other. So I wanted to get this off because my friends will say, you got to say something about this. You got to, you know, voice your opinion in regards to what do you think about this to the world in general. And we hope that we do not have any other issues with anyone else, you know, that, you know, any other country in regards to this too. So, all right, everybody, that was my little rant. It's time for me to introduce this beautiful young lady because I've been ready to do so. And I've been speaking with her as well too. And I have to tell you the energy that she has is amazing. I want to give a big shout out to Osiris, of course, Munir, as well as Beatrice. Thank you guys so much for introducing me to her. But she is a filmmaker. She is a podcast host as well, too, an actor, and also a producer. I want you guys to put your hands together for none other. Tuning in from L.A., she goes by the name of Susie Singer Carter. Let's go. Yeah. Susie.
Love. Lots of love for you, Rico.
Lots of love for
Mucho
you.
amor para ti.
Ay, gracias, mamá. Gracias.
De nada.
Está bueno. All right, love. Hey, you here now. You here with Rico No Suave and the crew. And
That's right.
hey, before we get started, do you have any shout outs you want to give out to anyone out there?
Well, I'm going to shout out straight to the same people you did, because Osiris is really the conduit to us meeting, and Beatrice as well, Beatrice Davis, and these are great, wonderful people who are fierce speakers,
Yes.
communicators who have different ways of communicating. Osiris has a radio show, and Beatrice is an amazing, multi-talented publicist and connector, and all. I've only just met her a month ago, and I am just floored by her fierceness and just a great stand for what is going on, and to take a stand, because a lot of
Yes.
people don't take stands, and boy, she takes a stand, and I like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
like
like
that.
that too. She's
Yeah.
she's very outspoken, and I love the
Hmm.
energy that she has. And being in the industry for both of them, being in the industry from quite some time, we do appreciate them both
Very
because hey,
much.
there's nothing but love all around. That's what we
Very,
do
very
around
much.
here.
That's
All right,
right.
love. Let's get into you because it's all about you and nothing but you. So help me God. Let's go. All right. So let's talk about what came first: filmmaker, actor, producer, podcast host. Talk to me. Which came first?
Chicken or the egg. So I went to UCLA. I thought I was going to be a journalist, a hardcore journalist, and I studied communications and got my FCC license, and decided that I did not enjoy only talking about the horrible things in news. And
Mm.
somehow the boy that I was dating, who became my husband, was
All
in the
right.
theater arts department at UCLA, and I was very snobby at the time, because I was like, oh, theater arts people are just so theater arts people, and within a year I was auditioning, and I've just found that I enjoyed comedy. So I started off with improv, and then from there, when I was auditioning, I just got this idea that maybe I could write these projects better than the ones I'm getting to audition for, right?
Mm.
And I started to write, and I got my first project that I wrote for myself and another actress. We had optioned like out of the gate, and I thought, wow, this is super easy. And no, it's not super easy. That was just a fluke. And the the uh the uphill, downhills, all the sideways things that happen in my career are all there. But I really, and although I did a lot of acting, I really enjoy being on the other side, and I really enjoy creating projects and shepherding them,
Yeah.
and creating things that actually make an impact, even if it's not even, you know, uh, something heavy duty or something like that. But listen, we all need comedy. We all need a love story. We all need things that give us little presents to take with us, and
I
that
like that.
last. And so that's what I love to do. And I started out. My company is Go Girl Media,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wanted to really, really try to get behind women led projects, female driven projects. And
All
because
right.
when I first started, I was doing children's programming, and I was trying to get girls to be the protagonist. And I would go in and pitch things to Disney and to Nickelodeon, and they would say, oh, these are great. Can you make the female a male?
Oh wow.
And yeah. And they literally, like, all of their data and research told them that girls will watch boys, but boys won't watch girls.
Mm.
So, which is so wrong.
Right.
But
Right.
that was the antiquated philosophy that they built their studios on, and they were going to, like you said, that's what they said, and that's what they're going to stick to, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to continue to try to push female projects and female driven projects, and I do think that we are in a much better place than when I started.
That's
And
awesome.
there's a lot more. It's not enough, but it's certainly, there's been a shift for
Yeah.
sure. You can only see, even in children's programming. I mean, if you think of all the very popular children's shows out of Disney, it's all
Mhm.
female driven,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Princess. Yes, the
Yeah,
princess treatment.
princesses for
Yes.
sure. And guess what? Boys like that. Boys
Yeah.
like it too, man. They do, right?
The men like the princess. The
Yeah,
man like the princess, like Romeo and
right.
Juliet. I mean,
That's right.
That's a good thing. But I do have a question for you. So
Yes,
when it comes to the writing piece, because you said you were actually writing as well too, right?
yeah.
So talk to me a little bit in regards to, because the creative minds of thinking of what to write, back when you were actually writing, what were you writing mostly about?
Right. So when I first, like the first project I wrote was, like I said, was a vehicle for myself and another girl. It was called A Couple of Minutes, and it was sort of like two female uh, best friends from another planet who came to Earth. It was all woman planet to proselytize the Earth. They were sent there to get rid of men. And then when they got to the Earth, they decided, wait a minute, this is what men are, because they grew up without them, and they were boy crazy. And it was like a Laverne and Shirley kind of project. And that was the thing that got optioned right away.
Yeah.
And it was a project for us, but it was like Mork and Mindy kind of territory.
Yeah.
And then I started doing a lot of pitching animated series, and then
Mm.
I got picked up to write two series at one time for CBS Saturday Morning, which was it was the Girl Power Hour that they did, and for a series called Cake. And then a
Okay.
series called Dance Revolution, and Dance Revolution was a tween competition dance show based on the game Dance
Yeah.
Revolution. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
with my guy who hosted it, Rick Adams, who's the best. Shout out to Rick Adams, my British incredible Emmy award winning this last year.
Nice.
Yeah, newscaster here in LA, and now he's back in England, I think, again. So he just flits all over the place. But he was a great host, and then and then Cake was a sitcom with
Okay.
four kids, different ages, and it really was a show about upcycling. So these kids had an online YouTube channel, and they did upcycling projects. But every episode, that project, that creative project, that solved the issue, the conflict of that particular show, and it was
Mm.
so much fun, and it was so great. We had this ensemble of four kids from ages 14 to 10,
Okay.
and they were fantastic. And
Awesome.
we hit the ground running. My partner Don Priest and we wrote every episode, 13 episodes, in a
Nice.
very short time, because that's the way it rolls here on
Let's go.
CBS.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, they said, do you want to take over this show, Dance Revolution, because we're not happy with what's coming in? And I was like, yeah, when are you going to get offered two shows at one time? And had no idea, because that was 26 episodes. So we were like, we'll take it. We'll do it. Whatever comes our way, just say yes, and then figure out how to do it. Right.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, they call you Susie Singer Carter because you're singing through the writing. You know what I mean? You're just going through the writing on me right now. So, that's very fascinating because there are deadlines, right? There are deadlines when it comes
Yeah.
to TV and TV shows. And I've talked to other actors and filmmakers as well, too, that's actually in TV, but also have made movies. And I've
Yeah.
always asked the question, what do you feel is the difference between TV shows and regular films, the regular films itself? We said, well, it's the deadline. They want them out just like this because they have a lot that they actually have to depend on for people that's requesting, hey, when is the next episode coming out? Or just keeping the audience intrigued as well. So that's
Right.
awesome, man. I
Yeah,
like
well,
it.
it depends on what era you're talking about, because when I was doing it, they had a 13 episode commitment, right? And they had a budget that you had to back into. And so you had to back into that budget, and then they had a delivery schedule because it was going out on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah.
So you're cranking them out, and we were cranking them out, those two shows, shooting two shows a day
Wow.
at the same time. So
Wow.
and I really got a great education with Brookwell McNamara, Sean McNamara, who's a director, who he and his
I know
partner
him.
David. Do you?
Yes, I know
Okay.
him. Yes, he was
Well,
just
Sean gave me my first breaks, and
yeah.
he will tell you that he was my mentor, and
Okay.
he actually brought me onto a movie called Bratz because he called me up after I did,
Yes.
and I wrote Bratz, the
Did
movie.
you?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And that's
Oh,
a great story if you want me to tell you, because if anybody out there is a writer, this is a great story. It's a, I have good stories and bad stories. But this happens to be a great story
okay.
because when I got pulled into Bratz, Sean called me and he said, "Hey, do you know anything about these Bratz dolls?" Right? And I said, "Well, A,
Right.
I have two daughters. B, look at me. I dress like the Bratz. I love this doll better than my daughters do, right?"
Mhm.
And if nobody knows who Bratz dolls were, they were like sort of like the Barbie's new competition, but
Yep.
they had a bit of a reputation, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because some of the very the more conservative population felt that they were objectifying little girls. And when I got the movie, I made a point, because it's live action, I made a point that these were not going to be objectified girls. These are going to be regular girls that everybody could relate to, with real problems, and but who also embraced their femininity, right?
Yep.
Because I am a definite feminist, but I'm a feminine feminist.
Okay.
I embrace my femininity.
Okay.
I'm cis. That's okay. And
Yeah.
and if you're not, that's cool too. But I'm going to embrace what I am,
Yep.
and I'm going to embrace what you are, right? So, and
Yeah.
that's what I would tell other young writers, because they would say, "Well, how can you do this? That these are objectified girls." I said, "Have you seen the movie? Watch the movie first, then come back and we can conversate about it." But the good story I was going to tell you is that when I got hired, I was hired as a producer, an associate producer, because Sean wanted me there with him. And we were at the end stages of casting these four leads. And Avi Arad, if anybody doesn't know Avi Arad, he's actually brought Marvel back to the place where it is in today. It was actually not, it was a dying, franchise when
Sure.
he came in, and he was just an incredible force and energy, and he infused all this marketing energy into Marvel. And he was doing Spider-Man at the time, but this was a pet project for him, so he was producing this project. And we were in callbacks with the four leads.
Hmm.
And he's very outspoken. He's from Israel, and I'm going to do a terrible Israeli accent, but he was like, "I don't like any of them. They're all shit, and I don't like them. Who brought these girls in?" So I was like, I said to Sean, on a side, I said, "Sean, they're not awful. They're actually really good. It's the sides, which are the sides are what actors and actresses read at auditions. They're the little parts that you're given to audition with." And I said, "I think they need better. I think they need like a good comedy and a good emotional scene." And I said, "Listen, I'll write them if you want me to, just to do it, so that these girls have a chance,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
So I did. Sean said, "Okay, sure." So I did. Came back on the next callback, and Avi was blown away. He said, "Oh my God, these girls are amazing. And who wrote those scenes?" And Sean said, "She did." And he said, "That other girl's fired. You're hired. You're writing the
Oh,
whole
let's
script."
go. Oh, wow. Sorry for the other girl, but wow.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I like that, man. I like
So,
that.
and
So,
yeah. And I had not written a feature film at the time. That was my first feature film. I was like, "Get me a copy of Save the Cat Stat so I could get," you know what I'm talking about, right? And I was like, "Okay, I'm down for this." And it was such a fun project. I enjoyed it so much. It was fashion. It was girl power. It was so much good. I brought in disability. Like, our lead guy was deaf, and he was also a DJ. And the way that he
okay.
DJ'd was through his hands, through vibration.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
really got an opportunity to bring in a lot of things that I am passionate about. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
so and
Congratulations on
thank
that.
you.
Man, I mean, wow. I mean, that's really deep in regards to how you won over, how you won him over. And
Mhm.
knowing that Sean McNamara, which is a really great guy, I had a chance to interview him too at the International Film Festival in Chandler,
Oh,
Arizona,
cool.
and it was amazing. And that was the first time I actually met him. But knowing that because of the passion that he has and knowing how you are in regards to where you're going, it was just a match made in heaven. I tell you that was awesome, especially for you to be able to make what he believed that wasn't going to work. You made it happen. Um,
Yeah.
the comedy piece, because you did focus, you did talk about the comedy piece on
Yeah.
that. To
Yeah.
be able to switch from the emotional and also to the comedy piece,
Yes.
what
Yes.
was that transition like between the two?
Well, it's comedy and drama are so close, right? So emotions like laughter and tears are so close. Haven't you ever laughed to cry? Right?
Sometimes, yeah,
Right?
sometimes, yeah,
You can laugh
yeah,
so hard that you start tearing up. And
yeah. Oh,
sometimes
yes, that one, yeah,
right? Because they're
yes,
it's very close to it, and it's a very strong emotion. If you're
sure,
laughing and if you're sad or you're, emotional, it's very close to the top. All that's bubbling around.
okay,
And I just, listen, you write what you know. That's what I do anyway.
I
And,
see.
I think I just went back into being told, what's that like? What did I feel like when I'm standing in a bathroom putting on lip gloss and a girl's giving me a look like that? And you're like, what's wrong? And that's all those stand. And it's that stumbling through that growth period. And that's where the drama comes from, because we make assumptions when we're younger because we don't have the maturity to know what's going on. But that's the process, right? So I wanted to show that process, that awkward process of trying to understand relationships between friendships. And that's, to me, is I have
Margie?
I have so much to draw from, as we all do. We all have so much to draw from. Yeah. Are you there?
Sorry, everybody. We have a little bit of technical difficulty. Sorry, we kind of lost the audio. Sorry, Susie. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, I
We
hear
kind of
you.
lost a little bit of our audio piece.
Oh,
Uh, give us 1 second, and we'll be right back.
mm-mm.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully, are you able to hear me, Susie?
I do. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Unplug the iRig and plug it back in.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, we are good. Sorry, everybody. Sorry about
Okay.
that. Hopefully, you guys can actually hear us now. Yes, a little technical difficulties.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Well, I just dropped a lot of gold, so I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, this is just in time for almost coming to another commercial break. But overall, I think that what you did in regards to bringing comedy as well as bringing, the emotional piece
Yeah.
together in regards to the transition piece, that is
Mhm.
super super awesome that you did that, and also working with Sean McNamara. That is amazing. As soon as you said that, my eyes just lit up, and
Oh yeah.
it was love.
I'll tell you one other anecdote with Sean, and then we can move on and talk about you and me. But
Yes.
when I also worked on Soul Surfer, his movie Soul Surfer, about Bethany Hamilton, who lost her arm. That she was a champion, is a champion surfer, and lost her arm in a shark attack. and the
Wow.
movie is fantastic. It's, did it in 2011, and I co-produced that with Sean, but Sean always had me on set next to him and would say to me, "How was that take? Do you have any notes?" Da, 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 da. And one day he just turned around to me, like they were setting up another shot, and he turned around and just went, "We're making a movie." And here's this guy that's made like 1,000 movies. And I just like it, and that is so beautiful to me, because we can't forget how special it is to do something that you love so much. And getting any movie made is a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
And so when you're sitting on a set and you've got, 100 crew members or more, and you're there and he's helming it, right?
Yeah.
It is a miracle. It's the closest thing to a miracle. And I just love that about him, because that's how I feel, is that no matter what I'm doing, if I'm on the other side of the camera looking through the lens, I am so happy and I feel so blessed, and it's my happy place.
Awesome. 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 Susie, I'm singing over here of your praises and things that you have done so far, love, and I'm so happy you here on the show. It's such an amazing and kind of being proud of your accomplishments thus far of what you've been doing. So, man, we got more, and I know there's more to actually come, because you're multi-talented, and of course, we're going to talk about, of course, your film. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. Everybody, this is none other than Susie Singer Carter. You already know, the filmmaker. She's the podcast host, actor, producing, and all that great stuff. Everybody, we're going to be back after these commercials break. We'll be right back.
Feeling sluggish? Struggling with stubborn weight and visceral fat? It's time to reset with Fupa Water. Packed with powerhouse ingredients like spirulina, turmeric, and aloe vera, Fupa Water is your daily detox and hydration boost all in one. Flush out toxins, energize your body, and say goodbye to that stubborn belly fat. Ready to feel lighter and stronger? Get yours today at fupawater.com. And for a limited time, use code RNSS for the Rico No Suave show and get an additional 10% off on your first order.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. You're here with none other than my girl, Susie Singer Carter. Susie, are you having a good time?
How could I not?
Let's go.
Right?
Let's
and,
go.
and yeah, the energy is awesome. You're a delight, and it's a good time. We're having good times, right?
Let's go. Hey,
Yeah.
there's people that's here, and I have to basically say hello to. And of course, one of them definitely you do know. Hello, Beatrice Davis. Thank you so much for tuning in. John T for free is actually checking in with us as well too. Thank you so much. And then we do have a little bit of a question for you, and I know this question is going to go into the main topic of what we want to talk about today, but your work is deeply personal. This was from Beatrice Davis, and she said, how did your own experience shape your film, like filmmaking? So if you could talk a little bit about, but don't go too deep into it, because I do want to introduce everybody as far as to your film. But when you're filmmaking, you kind of take things that's kind of personal. How do you shape that into your work of filming?
Yeah. So just to jump off of what I said a couple minutes ago about writing what you know.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much power in that. We think that sometimes we think that our stories are no one's going to relate to them, and that they're just too personal, or we're embarrassed to share it, whatever the case may be. Those are the kinds of stories that are so powerful that the more detailed a story is and the more truthful it is, the more it resonates with people out there. And I learned that with my first film that I directed, which was a short called My Mom and the Girl. I know I won't get too deep, but I'll just say that
Sure.
it was about my mom who had Alzheimer's, and it was a narrative. It wasn't a documentary. And everyone who, when I told them the story about this particular story, they were saying, you have to do a film. This is just too good. And I thought, nobody needs another film about Alzheimer's, right? I mean, there's just so many, and who's going to run to see a film about Alzheimer's? And then I just decided I would do it because I had this epiphany that there was a different perspective that I could share.
Yeah.
That was my perspective that I learned stumbling through this, journey. And sure enough, wow, like my story that was so personal to me became universal. And we went to Cannes, and it was welcomed in Cannes, and we won awards there, and we won PBS awards, and we won, awards in Australia and all over the world. People were saying, thank you. This is my aunt. This is my grandma. This is my grandpa. This is my sister, brother, husband, wife. Right.
Wow.
And you told it in a way that was real, but it was also positive in a real way.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the power of sharing story, is that it so well that it's so authentic that is the power. And it touches the heart. It just goes right to the heart.
Let's go. I think that's the reason why we love to actually communicate with people that care about other people and the world. And I think because you're actually bringing, I say you basically have your own type of platform as well too, because you're also a podcast host. But when it comes to making films, those things actually last forever. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, podcasts and videos and stuff like that don't last forever, but films last forever. Meaning that you could probably remember a film back in the day and you're like, you know what, that was a film that always stayed with me for quite some time. And I think because of what you're doing with, helping the world, but also teaching the world, and also people that's brand new that don't know about how you're shaping this film to make it even better. I think that's the beauty behind films,
Thank you. Yeah, I do know. I do agree with you. And I think that, whether it's a comedy or, it's if you love horror or whatever's your jam, there's a way to make an impact. There's a way to hide the peas in under the mashed potatoes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, that's the mommy metaphor. But, we did it in children's programming. It's called educational informational programming. That's what you have to do. You have to deliver a certain level of that in Saturday morning content. And but you have to, so it has to have a certain amount of information. And why do we stop that? Why do we stop doing that? Because we get older. No, we learning our whole life, right?
Yeah.
And what Rico, is not what I know. And what, we might cross somewhere, but I'm going to learn from you. You're going to learn from me. We all learn from each other. That's the beauty of it. And that's why life is exciting. That's why we love to meet new people. And that's why we like to listen or watch or experience other people's stories. If you're going to a theater, even it's magical.
It is.
It's magical. And it still is, and it'll always be that way. I mean, we've been storytelling since the age of, since the beginning of time. We've been storytelling.
I love it. And I'm back here complimenting you while you're saying a few things. It's not I interrupt. I'm just excited that you're here. Because it's just the fact of what you love to do for human beings as well as myself. I think because of, how you have a certain way of communicating with people through different forms. And people do communicate with you as well. And what I mean by this goes to my kind of that slide in point of kind of the bulletin thing that you have behind you. You have a nice little stand. It looks like it's a picture of the mom and the girl, right?
Yes, and
Starring
the first
Valerie
one.
Harper. That's right behind you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about,
Yeah,
because communication had to come to you in some cases, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
That'll.
did it. I did it. I'm like dyslexic hands, but I did it. There we go.
It's okay. It's okay. You got qualified, Oscar qualified for the
Yes.
short film.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find out that you were qualified for the short film from the Oscars?
Yeah, that was interesting. We were at Palm Springs Film Festival, which is a very, very, well thought of film festival. We were there, and Shorts TV, who sponsor the Oscar qualifications for the Academy, and our big, work with the Academy on the choices. Um, they came to us after screening our film and said, we'd like to sponsor you to be Oscar qualified. We love your film.
Yeah.
And we want to give you they wanted to distribute our film as well. So that's how it happened. And, and from there they took it and then they four-walled it, what's called four-walling, where you take a short film and it has to run in a theater, in a real theater, for 7 days and for several times during the day. It's just what the Academy requires.
Yeah.
And we were off and running, and then we were campaigning it to, suddenly we're campaigning to win. And, it was such a whirlwind. I didn't think of that at all. Honestly, I didn't. It was just, to me, I thought, well, first of all, Valerie, what a gift to have Valerie Harper. It was her last performance. And if you don't know her, go on to Hulu or, whatever streamer that has a lot of shows from the 70s and 80s. But, she came out of Mary Tyler Moore. She played Rhoda, and then she had her own series called Rhoda.
Yeah.
And she was America's sweetheart. And there's nobody that I've met in this industry that was better than that woman. She passed away 3 years ago. I adored her. She fell in love with the script. And I remember my manager saying, I said, what do you think of Valerie Harper to play my mom? And she said, are you kidding? She's not going to do a short film. Like, move on, right? And so I found her manager, which turned out to be her husband, Tony.
Okay.
Tony Cacciati, and sent the script. And he called me a week later and said, yeah, I'm calling about Valerie, the script. Who are you looking at other people right now? And I said, well, yeah, I am. I have it to Lainey Kazan. She was in Bratz, and I wrote a part for her in Bratz. And he said, well, when you're ready, let me know if you're ready to talk serious. And I said, I'm ready today. And so, we met for coffee in Brentwood, and Valerie walked down the street. I was with my partner, Dawn, and we looked as she's walking down the street. I was like, that is my mom. That woman is my mom.
Yeah.
And she just came right up to me and like pulled my hair out of my face. She goes, oh, you're adorable. Get the hair out of your face though. Okay. I was like, oh my God, this is my mother. This is my mother. And we had such a relationship like that. She was amazing. We'd go on the red carpet and everyone wanted to talk to Val because she's just the best. And she would go, you don't want to talk to me. No, you want to talk to her.
Yeah.
She wrote this, she directs, she produces, she acts, she looks like a Tootsie, but she's not.
Oh, hey, that got to be surreal to be able to see one of your favorite actresses to be able to walk down the street and then she comes up to you and just acts like, oh, this is the mom, like the mom.
We're family.
Feel,
We're
right?
family. We're family.
Man.
Yeah. And we really were. She was just like that. There was
that.
not a real quick anecdote. I was at her house this after we did the film and she was getting sick. And I brought another new puppy, by the way, to cheer her up. Yeah. And I love dogs. And so we were at her house and they had just moved into this new place. They downsized in Santa Monica by the pier. And she hadn't unpacked everything. And behind us was like 7 Emmy awards from all of her Emmys, right? And I was like, Val, you need to unpack these Emmys. This is so incredible. And she said, oh, take one. I'll give you one. And he goes, you'll win your own, but take one for now. I was like, Valerie, you can't give away your Emmys. What are you doing? But that's who she was. That's Valerie.
Awesome. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. You know, that's that is so awesome to be able to
Yeah.
experience that, right? And just have a great time. So, I think what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna go right into, your trailer because I want people to know more about you so we could get right into this deep conversation
Yeah.
in regards to your film. So everybody, I want you guys to enjoy this. This is No Country for Old People. Of course, the filmmaker, Susie Singer Carter. Let's run it. Let's go.
The founder of Cleveland-based Life Care Centers of America is now one of the richest people in America.
Hospice is big business.
Debt is a big business.
The way they move their money is just like a criminal enterprise.
They're trying to make her die faster than she wants to.
You're tortured.
So sorry.
And you're tortured to death.
You are literally killing people to make more money.
That's completely inappropriate, and there's terms for that.
What are those terms?
Oh, that's murder.
When cash is the primary reason for doing something.
She's in pain because they're not taking care of her.
Sorry. I know.
Anywhere in the healthcare system,
my mother's death was a brutal death at the nursing home.
People suffer.
They're throwaway people. That's all they are, is throwaway people.
We have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves as a country, what are we going to do for our older adults, for our most vulnerable, for our loved ones? And I think that's why you're doing this documentary.
To me, it's the shame of the nation.
All right, so let's get right into it. I see you changed yourself. You
I
see,
took
like
I got very warm. I got excited and I got warm. So
Let's
sorry.
go.
Yeah. I just took my jacket off, but that's how I roll.
That's okay. You almost made me want to take my jacket off. I almost felt like, all right, let's get right into it. Roll up my sleeves. Let's get right into it.
Get going.
Now I know that this is, and we're down to the last 15 minutes of fame around here as far as with you, because time fly by fast.
Yep.
So this is really deep in regards to when you're directing it towards certain nursing homes and the care for our family members or care for older people, or older citizens. When you developed this film, how hard was it for you to be able to develop such an emotional film?
Yeah. So, Rico, when 3 years ago, my mom and I went through a 6-month journey of hell, really. And my mom was living at a 5-star facility here in Los Angeles, and I thought she was in the best place possible. And it was right in the middle of COVID, and my mom was not. It turned out, everything and anything horrible that could happen was happening to her. And I thought I was losing my mind. Like, I couldn't believe this was happening. And I couldn't stop it. And when I have, as you said, I have a podcast called Love Conquers Alls, ALZ. Yeah. And I had just watched a miniseries that some of your audience probably have seen called Dope Sick. And that was on Hulu. And that was with Michael Keaton and Peter Sarsgaard. And Peter Sarsgaard plays my partner, my co-producer, Rick Modcastle, who was the lead federal prosecutor in the story of Dope Sick, which he went up against the Sackler family who owned Purdue Pharma for their off-marketing and mismarketing of OxyContin. So that whole crisis. Yeah. And then at the end of that series, they teased within the story of his next case, this big case, which was against another pharmaceutical called Abbott Labs. And Abbott Labs was off marketing a drug called Depakote, which is an anti-seizure drug. and it was they were off marketing it. They still are, to nursing homes to chemically restrain their residents so they don't have to take care of them. They just put them to sleep all day long. Well, that happened to my mom, and I didn't know she was on Depakote. I only knew because her doctor told me about 2 months after she started taking it. And I thought that her Alzheimer's had progressed because my mom was physically very healthy, walking 5 miles a day when she lived with me. And when she moved into this facility, when she needed a little bit more help, suddenly she's in a wheelchair, she's incontinent, she's a zombie. And when I finally got her off of the Depakote, a lot of her cognitive came back, but she never walked again, and she never was continent again. And Rick Montcastle, when I had him on my podcast to talk about chemical restraining, which is a common standard practice across our country, he was the first person to tell me that what I was dealing with my mother at the time was not just a one-off. I was smack dab in the middle of a systemic crisis. And the systemic crisis has been going on for 5 decades. And people have been making a lot of money off of our most vulnerable and our elderly for so long, and nobody's looking. And because of that, people are suffering. People are being tortured, people are suffering, and people are dying before their time. Yeah. And no one is talking about it. And it's a very hard conversation to have. But I saw things, and I shepherded my mom all the way to the end. And I thought, if I can't help her, and I stopped doing whatever I was doing, and I had to be there every day, because if I wasn't, what was happening to her was just getting exponentially worse. So if I couldn't help her, what about the people that don't have advocates, that don't have children, that have children that live in a different country or a different state? What's happening to them? And now I know what's happening to them. And it's not good. And in the meantime, we've got corporate entities that have taken over this industry and are making hand over fist billions and billions of dollars. And they do it by chronically understaffing these facilities, because that's what costs. Those are the biggest costs, are your staff. And which is why they want to chemically restrain people, because they don't have enough staff, right? Yeah. And that's why people are neglected, because if they had enough staff, they'd be fine. Right. The staff that's there, they're also victims, because they want to do a good job and they can't. So they walk away every day with moral injury, because they know that they're not taking care of these people the way they want to, the way they were trained to do it. They can't. When one person is taking care of 20 to 30 to 40 people a day, you don't have the time. Right. You don't. And it's cruel to the frontline workers. It's the suicide rate of our doctors and of our nurses now is just increasing by the minute. It's horrendous. People are leaving that industry. There's a huge exodus. So what happens is you've got people that aren't really trained, don't really want to be there. It's a side gig.
Wow. You know,
so,
I know how deep that this is, because, I was kind of telling you this before, but I feel your pain, but there's also another side of this, where there is the medical piece and also the emotional piece of what the staff wanted to do to be able to help your mom and others, where there was a lack of organization of resources, which is another dip in regards to how to basically try to help maintain or make, the older citizens better. But at the same time, too, we blame this on the people that's up top, that's just gathering all of the people that's in the nursing home just to say that we have money to be able to at least have them there. But also we have a resource issue of just neglecting as far as who really needs to be taken care of. And I think because the resources are there, there's not enough of them. And there's probably people that's probably applying for positions to be able to try to go into some of these nursing homes. I have friends that actually have applied for certain nursing homes. They say, oh, we have enough. But then the people that's there saying we need more help.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues that goes along with this.
Understaffing is the whole thing. It's understaffing, and that is what the business model of the corporate entities that own these places, because they've learned to game the system, because people that are in nursing homes generally their residency there is paid for through Medicaid and Medicare. So that's federal dollar. Yep. And that money is and by the way, that's your money, our money, because we put into Medicare and Medicaid when we work through our lives. But, there's part of the government called the CMS, which is the Center for Medicare, Medicaid. They are supposed to oversee the regulations, the billing, the reimbursement of the billing, and it's not done. The oversight is lacking to a degree that this is happening. That the enforcement of the regulations that are in place is negligible. If it's there, it's pretty much performative, and the enforcement is negligible. It becomes the cost of doing business, and that's written into the business plan. So what you have at the end of the day is warehouses of human beings. And I don't mean that to say it in, I am, if you listen to my interview, I'm a happy chappy girl, and I'm Pollyanna. I learned this from all the experts that I interviewed, over 70 experts, to a jaw-dropping, effect on me. And when you ask about, well, how is the emotional part of this journey for me, it's been tremendous, because I've had to, I've thought that, the way to educate the public, which is really the only power we have to make these changes is as a collective, is to tell stories that will touch somebody's heart. Because if we talk about it in terms of data and, as a news report, it just becomes white noise, and you forget about it the next day if you even listen to it. If you can tell a story that will pull people in and draw them in and say, like my mom and the girl, that will say, wow, that could be me. Wow, that could be my mom, my grandma, my husband, my brother, everybody. We're all going to get old, God willing. Yeah. We're all going to be, or we're going to be disabled at some point. We are, by the grace of God, and, time blinking, you're 90, right? Yeah. So, this is all of our problems, and this is all our responsibility to make sure that if we live long, that we live right. And that we live with dignity, and that we live with quality, and that we are allowed to make decisions for ourselves, and we are allowed to leave this world when we are ready to leave the world.
Yeah. I think with this, we're down to the last 5 minutes, but this touches my heart in a way of good and also bad, because of the organizational piece and the resources, and also the chemicals that's actually being used just to make sure that the big pharma actually makes their money, but also not caring about the people that's here on earth. And the thing about what I love about what you're doing is the movement behind of being able to keep people aware of how do you go in to say, I want to interview everybody on the staff, or I want to interview this nursing home that's going to be taking care of my granddad or my grandma or my mom or my dad, to be able to say, is this the right place for me or for them and for the family as well too. So, I want people to be able to see this film. Has this film been released yet?
No, and it's actually going to be a 3-part docuseries, and we are just signed with our distributors. So I will have news soon about where it's going to land. We're just, going through getting our key art and getting all the captions and all that stuff that you prep for distribution. But that is the goal, because we ended up with a 3-hour project, and it had to be, because there's so much to tell and people need to understand the business model of it. Then how, like what you said, what's the call to action? How can we make this better? When, and because I didn't want to just dump all this negativity on everybody without something to do, without a call to action, which we have. And, I'm mobilizing a movement right now called ROAR, which is Respect, Oversight, Advocacy, and Reform. I'm looking for warriors to come on board with me and roar loud. And, yes, these people that own these facilities are very wealthy. Yes, there's a very big nursing home lobby that makes it very difficult for us to make changes, because they want it to be status quo. They pay for politicians' campaigns. They've embedded themselves in our legislature. So we need to let them know that we know this and we're not having it. And we need to, like you said, circle back to your opening. We need to love on our people and respect our people. And, that's what I want to do. And we can do that as constituents. We may not, it doesn't matter if we don't have money. We have our voices.
Yes. And we have platforms like this.
Yes.
And that's the key. That's the key itself. But I have something for you, because there's always a great ending to our show, is that I have this gift for you.
Oh.
So, yes.
Oh, I want to wear it now.
Yeah. So I have this gift for you. So this shirt is a symbolism of you as a movement, but also as a great communicator, but also being able to put great things out there for people to be aware of, but also for you to be able to talk to people, to communicate with people, to be able to be with the great Sean McNamara and also the great Valerie Harper, to be able to touch people's lives and also be able to work with great people as well too. This shirt symbolism that not just you're just a diamond, but you're also a gem of the world. So welcome to the Rico No Suave Show family.
Wow. Yay.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias, la familia. I love it. Tengo mucho amor.
Eso, con amor siempre, para siempre. So we're going to put up your social media, everybody. We got to put up our social media so you guys can follow her. Yes. Hey. Yes. All right. It is Instagram. It is Susie Singer Carter on Instagram. Everybody, please make sure you go and follow her. Here's the next one. It is LinkedIn. Same thing. At Susie Singer Carter. LinkedIn. Business only, everybody. All right. Here's the next one. Yes. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel when that's actually going to be released. I'm sure there's going to be a trailer or a trailer there already. But anything that she actually have that's going to be posted, make sure you turn on the notifications. Make sure you go and show her some love. All right. Here's the next one. Oh, yeah. It's Go Girl without the I. Media Sweet, yes, on Twitter, right? On Twitter, now as X. All right. Last but not least, we do have a website for her. Yes, NoCountryForOldPeople.com. So make sure you please go on to her website and follow her and make sure you stay up to date, because all of the information is being updated. Susie Singer Carter, I want to thank you so much for being on the Rico No Suave show today with us. I hope you had a great time.
I had a great time. Thank you so much for the platform. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your compassion and your passion. And this is a great relationship. I adore you. And there'll be more.
Yes. There's always going to be more. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This is Susie Singer Carter. Everybody put your hands together.
Love
Susie,
you
take care.
Be a warrior with me, you all.
I'll
Be a warrior.
See you later, okay?
Bye-bye.
All right, ciao. All right, everybody, we have to get out of here. It's your boy Rico No Suave. Yes, we got to get out of here. So, hey, when it comes down to making sure that we talk about No Country for Old People, we're talking about how we take care of our loved ones. And, of course, you hear about the journey for none other than Susie Singer Carter. We hope you guys enjoyed yourself today. We're going to put up our social media, everybody, because we do have a website as well, too. So let's put up our website at www.riconosuaveshow.com. Make sure you go ahead and check us out there, everyone. And then here's our next one. Our next one is, you already know, Kaboom. Rico No Suave Show at Instagram, everybody. Instagram. Make sure you go ahead and follow us there. The next one is Facebook. Yes, Rico No Suave Show. Go ahead and like and love everything we're doing there. Here's the next one. Oh, yeah. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rico No Suave Show. Please make sure you go and show us some love. And then we have Mixcloud. Turns into a podcast, everybody. So if you like the audio piece, make sure you go to mixcloud.com. Then Rico No Suave Show. Everybody, Red Coral Universe. Yes, .com. Rico No Suave Show. Same thing. Everybody, we got to get out here. We want to thank you guys so much for actually being here on the Rico No Suave Show. But we'll see you guys next time as we end off the show just like this.
Or maybe not.
No, I think I'm done.